Welcome back, one and all, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, poisonous reptiles and amphibians of like manner. I am your host, Sir Grimtales, inviting you on our continuing journey through the creepy tales of Reddit and more. My first kill. Dear Mom, I'm sorry to be writing you like this, but the police are going to find me soon, and I wanted to confess some things to you before you read the new reports and all that, or maybe you already have. I'd like to begin by saying this has nothing to do with you or my upbringing. Something is wrong in my head, and you could have never fixed that. I'd also like to tell you about the first time. Of course, my first kills were animals, just like all serial killers, but my first human was little Sally Parkson. I remember how you and her mother cried when she went missing, and then even more when they found the body. Seeing you cry made me regret it, but I have to admit, it also made me want to do it again. She was biking up and down the road, singing some stupid song at the top of her lungs, and it immediately distracted me from my reading. I set the book down and watched her from the shade of my tree. She looked so happy and content. When her bike slid and crashed down on the sidewalk, it was like an offering from God. Blood leaked out her leg, and I could almost feel myself getting thirsty. I ran over and offered to help. I lifted her up and carried her over to the tree to retrieve my book. Once we were hidden in the shadows of the big willow tree I used to love, I grabbed a rock, and she was out like a light. I dragged her into the forest, but I was unprepared and unsure on how to seal the deal. I was bigger than her, and stronger, so I wrapped my hands around her neck and squeezed. The pain must have been enough to wake her, because her eyes flashed wide open before her muscles loosened. I stood there for a bit, hands on her neck, just staring down at her limp body. I'm not sure why. Maybe because I was stupid and wanted to make sure she was dead. But I think by the age of 11, I knew how to tell when something was dead. Maybe it was because she looked so perfect, quiet, peaceful, powerless. I loved it. I dragged her body to the river and pushed her under, making sure to fully submerge her. Then they found her body a week later, and never traced it back to me. How would they? Mom, I'm so sorry, but if you're reading this, you know too much. I'm probably watching you out of the kitchen window above the sink right now. I'll give you 2 minutes to run. Love, your son. The woman in the white dress. This happened only yesterday, so it's fresh in my mind. I'm not quite sure what to think of it, because it was so bizarre and unbelievable. I might have just been sleep deprived. So last night, perhaps around 11 p.m. or so, I was walking around my block. My town is relatively safe, so I didn't feel in danger. Plus, it was a pretty night. I had been walking for around 5 minutes when a pale woman with blonde hair, wearing a white dress, caught my eye from across the street. She was about my height and looked to be around my age also. I didn't actually pay attention to her when I first noticed her. While I circled the block again, she was on the same street, a couple feet in front of me. She was standing on the curb, staring at the cars passing by. It was a main road, so even that late, people were still driving on it. I said hello to her, and she turned her gaze to me. I couldn't see her face very well, but from what I think I saw, she had neither pupils nor color in her eyes. She just stared at me. After a while, I asked if she was all right. She didn't respond again and simply pointed at the road. I was very confused. Then suddenly, Just as the red car was about to pass in front of us, she suddenly stepped into the road. The car slammed into her, and it was a bloody mess. The driver immediately stopped and jumped out. We were both freaking out. He called the police, and I went around the car to see the state of the girl. But when I had come round to the front of the car, she was gone. Not gone as in dead. Gone as in she simply wasn't there. The blood on the road was gone too, but not gone from his car. After the police arrived, they concluded that it was some sort of hoax from a child who didn't know what they were doing, and probably helped by an adult who went along with it. The blood on the truck was brought to investigation, only to be found as paint. Nothing else was put up about it. I'm still not sure if what happened was real. It felt very real, but I don't believe in the paranormal. I remember it like it was real. Has anyone else experienced something like this?